Glad we are going to celebrate our heritage this evening together. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Montgomery County Caribbean American Advisory Group to our Caribbean American Heritage Month celebration. I would like to extend a special welcome to our elected officials here with us this evening. I know I see Delegate Wilkins, Councilman Will Jawanda is supposed to be joining us. Welcome to the representatives from the other advisory groups that's joining us, and a warm welcome to those from our community. I am so happy you're able to join us. Please sit back and enjoy this virtual cruise of the Caribbean. Thank you this evening. Now we'll turn it over to for our special prayer, sorry. Now we'll have our special or opening prayer followed by a special music.
Our prayer is going to be given by Imam Faisal Khan of the Islamic Society of Washington. Imam Khan.
Good evening, assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon each and every one of you here. There's a verse in the Quran that says, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ أُدُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. You call upon me and I will answer your prayer. Let us pray. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Almighty Allah, the God of Abraham and Moses and Jesus and Muhammad on whom peace, the supreme ruler of the universe, we believe in thee and seek thy blessings and thy forgiveness for everything that we have done. O most merciful God, Lord, through thy benevolent grace and mercy, we have assembled here this evening in the spirit of joy and solidarity and seek thy blessings as we gather here to offer prayers commemorating the celebration of the Caribbean American Heritage Month. O God, in your word, you have given us a vision of that perfect world. Lead us from hate to love and from violence to peace, from fear to trust and from despair to hope. Enable us to eliminate poverty, prejudice, and ignorance, so that prosperity may prevail with righteousness and justice with order. And help us to make our county a meeting ground and cultures of races where women and men of different talents may find in each other the fulfillment of their common humanity. We beseech thy help, O God, to promote the noble objectives of the Caribbean American Advisory Group, and I ask that you bless and guide to righteousness all those that will serve and benefit from thy guidance. Grant them the patience, understanding, wisdom, and courage needed for the task that lies ahead. O Lord, we pray and ask that you accept our prayers. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Around the Caribbean. Good evening. I am Yvonne Stevens, and I serve on the County Executive's Caribbean American Advisory Group, along with several others who have been appointed to represent the Caribbean diaspora in Montgomery County. Please take a ride with us as we sail around some of the countries in the Caribbean and South America via the Caribbean Sea. And our first stop is St. Kitts and Nevis.
Good evening. I'm Osmond Farrell. I'm from St. Kitts and Nevis, or St. Christopher and Nevis, as it is often called. It is the smallest nation in the Western Hemisphere, just 54,000 in population, and it's about a little more than 1.5 times the size of Washington, D.C. But as the World Bank report said, going back to 2013, the Caribbean islands have about the same number of people living within its shores as they have living outside of their shores. More specifically, I'm from Nevis, the smaller of the two islands which make up the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Nevis is only 36 square miles and has a population of around 12,000 people. Despite its size, however, like the other Caribbean islands, it has long played a role in the development of the United States and by extension, Montgomery County. For example, Nevis is the birthplace of one of the founding fathers of the United States, Alexander Hamilton, who was born on Nevis on the 11th of January, 1757. Well, just a little, let me say this. He said it was 1757, but the official documents in Nevis stated it was 1755. So it's not ladies alone who like to play with age business, I guess. Anyway, in terms of festivals, let me say this quickly. We celebrate something around August called Culturama. Unlike the other Caribbean countries that focus on Carnival, the traditional Carnival, which is more commercialized, we focus on Culturama, which highlights the customs and traditions of the island.
And our next stop is Dominica.
The nature island of the Caribbean will come to you via video.
Can we skip to the next one, please?
Okay, so we're on our way to Montserrat. Is Juliet on? Okay, so we'll keep moving. The boat is sailing.
Juliet just logged in. Juliet just logged in.
Okay, Juliet, we're at your island. We're stopping off to say hello to you. Please unmute, Juliet.
I'm just unmuted.
You're on, Juliet. We can
Go
hear
ahead,
you.
Juliet.
Good evening. My name is Juliet Sweeney Cisse from the island of Montserrat, known for the volcano that happened over 25 years ago. There's this notion that no one lives on the island. Presently, the population is less than 5,000, with over 2,500 of those being Jamaicans, Haitians, and Guyanese, and approximately 500 Latinos who helped to build the island. Only 18 square miles of the island is habitable, and that is on the northern side. Because of the volcano, More than 11,000 evacuated from the island, mostly to England. Although the landmass has increased, places in the southern, eastern, and western side of the island is still closed off, and that includes the village where I was born. A little known fact, we celebrate St. Patrick's Day for a week of festivities, but what we're really celebrating is the uprising of the slaves who rebelled on St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
Okay, so we're on our way to South America, Guyana. Lionel, are you there? Okay, so we're going to keep it moving. We're on our way back to Barbados.
Good evening, everyone. I was asked to say something today about what stands out about Barbados and the approximately 280,000 people who live there. Bajans are usually described as conservative or reserved. First, I thought about the well-known Bajan culinary talent. I thought, is it culture? Is it crop over? Is it cricket? Is it church? Those things are very important, as are the mangoes, the roasted breadfruit, the roasted corn, flying fish, cuckoo, macaroni pie, pudding and sauce on a Saturday. All of those evoke very strong memories and nostalgia about Barbados. An emphasis on education also stands out about being Barbadian, but by far, I think the thing in my experience that stands out most about Barbados and being Barbadian is the proclivity of Barbadians for good character and service to whatever community they find themselves in. We also make up words like cat spraddle and we nickname everyone. I think that's what many Bajans can count on from each other, his character, hard work, and reliability. There are a few well-known examples like Shirley St. Hill Chisholm, Sir Garfield Sobers, Earl Graves, and Eric Holder, and we're thankful for those persons, and very much so for the more obscure, salt-of-the-earth Bajan who live out their lives while contributing so much goodwill and strength to the communities they live in. Now, the world is changing. Barbados is no exception. It seems that we have fallen short regarding succession planning. Our communities are dispersed, and the process for passing on the values we once held dear has been disrupted. Barbados still had less than 40 murders in 2020, with more than half committed in the capital city. So crime, while it has increased in recent times, is not epidemic, and for that we can still be thankful. But we, like many places, have a lot of work to do and need to be reminded of the strength of character, reliability, and hard work that has served us well thus far. Thank you. Enjoy your evening. One love.
Okay, and we're pulling up on the shores of Haiti.
Hello, let me share my video and let me reduce my background. I don't know if you can see me proper. Hello, I'm Marvin St. Preux. There we go. Marvin St. Preux representing Haiti. Haiti, land where imprisoned Africans overcame their oppressors, giving rise to ancestors like Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Emperor Henry Christophe, and Alexander Pétion. Haiti, who fought very valiantly for American freedom in battles of Savannah and Charleston. Haitian leaders who provided military and financial aid to South American revolutions like Miranda and Simon Bolivar in their war to liberate Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, and Venezuela. In the 1960s, during the decolonization of Africa from European occupation, hundreds of Haitians responded to the international call to go help their African brothers overseas. One of those Haitians happened to be, and educators happened to be my own maternal grandfather, Luc Simon, who was deployed to the Republic of Congo to teach in a law school. One of the most famous words written on the Haitian flag says, La l'union fait la force, which means our union makes us strong. So I greet you with those words. and we continue to stay united, to stay strong. Thank you.
Okay, and we're just pulled up to Panama.
Hi, everyone. Wepa. My name is Sonia, and I represent the Afro-Antillano or Afro-Antillean community of Panama. And we are the descendants of African people from African descent who came from Caribbean islands to Panama in the 19th and the 20th century to work on the canal and other infrastructure projects. So we are the ones who built the canal. My family arrived in Panama from Jamaica and Grand Cayman. About 4.4 million people currently live in Panama, and the official language of Panama is Spanish. But the majority of the Afro-Antillanos who arrived in the country, especially that first and second generation, only spoke English. And so many of the current descendants, of which I am one, are bilingual and speak English and Spanish. Some interesting facts about Panama is that it is an isthmus, which is a very narrow piece of land that has the sea on either side, and that connects to larger pieces of land, like a bridge. That geography is what made it ideal for building the canal that Afro-Antillanos built. Also, the musical genre of reggaeton, which is what hopefully you can hear right now, was created by the Afro-Antillano community of Panama, and it melds Caribbean genres of reggae, soca, calypso, rumba, and mambo with Spanish language lyrics. So, wepa, wepa, bienvenido a Panama.
Okay, and we're stepping over to TNT, Trinidad and Tobago.
Hello all, I'm Jared Davidson. I live in Kensington, Maryland. However, I was born on the beautiful island of Trinidad. The Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is comprised of 2 islands, the southernmost part of the Caribbean. Trinidad is the larger of the 2 and is mostly industrial with commercial centers, a big petrochemical industry. Tobago, on the other hand, is beautiful beaches and is home to the Buku Reef and the Nyland Pool. The country achieved independence in 1962 and became a republic in 1976. Our ethnic makeup is evenly divided between descendants of Africa and India, with a smaller percentage of mixed ethnicities. We have a population about 1.3 million. And in our diaspora area here, Maryland, Virginia, DC, it's conservatively estimated at about 20,000 people. The cosmopolitan nature of the country is responsible for our foods and customs. We invented the steel drum, which you all heard earlier, the only musical instrument invented in the 20th century, and we are known as the land of calypso and steel band. Thank you.
So we're going back to Dominica.
Having some technical sound difficulties.
I think you have to share the sound as well.
Audio is
fungal infestation.
Sorry, let me start from the beginning. I apologize.
Thank you.
Dominica, nature island of the Caribbean, land of the Caddis music, an independent country since 1978, where the currency is the Eastern Caribbean dollar and the official language is English, but you will hear a Creole spoken on the island, a mix of French and African and Kalinago, hinting at our colonial past. Home of the indigenous Carib Indians, the first inhabitants of the island. They are known today as the Kalinago people. Home also of the World Creole Music Festival. Dominica, where frogs are called monk chicken and is considered a delicacy, but from 2000 became an endangered species due to a fungal infestation. The place where whale watching is a spectator sport and the sperm whales are found year-round. Dominica has 9 volcanoes and is the second largest and has the second largest boiling lake in the world. In Dominica, sulfur springs and black sand beaches surround the city of Roseau, and the country boasts of 365 rivers. The nature island of the Caribbean, Dominica.
Okay, Guyana, are you welcoming us? Guyana? Okay. I bring you greetings from the Caribbean island of Jamaica, land of wood and water, with her flag colors of black, green, and gold, depicting hardships endured, the lushness of the land, and the warm sunshine. Jamaica's motto, out of many, one people, highlights home to multiple nationalities and a one love attitude. She's home to approximately 3 million people, a diaspora population of over 2 million, and almost 800,000 living in the United States of America. The Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee is one of the most sought after coffees in the world, and the only habitat in the Western Hemisphere for the giant swallowtails, the largest butterfly in the world. Interestingly, Jamaica was the first tropical country to enter a bobsled team in the Winter Olympics, resulting in the famous Disney movie, Cool Runnings. Ian Fleming wrote all his James Bond movies and books in Jamaica and filmed his first movie, Dr. No, there. The first Black female vice president of the United States of America, and the recently appointed first Black president of ACLU, among many other firsts, are of Jamaican heritage. Jamaica is home to many talents in academia, sports, fine arts, musical talents, and performing arts. Miss Moy Stevenson Fairweather will now give you a taste of Jamaica's world famous folklorist, Miss Louise Bennett.
Good evening, everyone. Louise Bennett have a famous quote that is so fitting for this Caribbean Heritage Month. She says, when Asian and European and Indian and Chinese buck up our African culture, we stir them up and we blend them to fill with flavor. What about Caribbean people them? They walk about, you see, man. They get around for true. Me say, any part of the world you go, you're bound to buck up 1 or 2. Well, I always glad to see my country people them by chance. But the other night, I had a sad experience. Me go wear one pair of brand new shoes, go watch one theater play. Well, me catch all right, but coming back, me couldn't find me way. Me come off of the metro bus, and me walk so till. Me foot them start feel tired. because the new boots start to rebel. Them burn me and they squeeze me and then blister up my heel. Mrs. I can't even tell you the pain and agony when me girl feel. Me say me stop little, me catch little, me sigh, me pray, me cough, me limp, me bend. Oh, I stumble, but the pain just get worse and worse. It's like them pepper up my foot. Them tie them up in a barbed wire. Then sprinkle them with turpentine, oh, and push them in a fire. Then burn me so till I think I was going dead. And then, all of a sudden, me hear one voice whisper in my head. Take off the tight shoes, gal. How long you have to suffer? Move the boot and walk barefoot. Nobody don't know you over here. Not a soul will recognize you. This is not for your country. Move the boots and ease your foot and end the misery. Well, me stop braps. And me make up my mind and me lean up against one tree. Me say, me barefoot and me pain free. Whoa, Lord, the relief was wonderful. The relief was grand. And then me go walking, gaily humming with the shoes there in my hand. Me never walk 2 yards yet. He hear a voice say, oi. And he turn on and look and come face to face with Mota Body. But not the one from Spanish Town, the one from Manchester. That girl don't belong to her. She lavish, you see, ma. She looked down on my barefoot. And she said, I hear her. Well, Mrs., I never thought I would see the day you come to this. I say I don't come to nothing, but I did feel shame, you see. But across the head, and I walk off with barefooted dignity. But me nobody know that my name gone abroad. So me pop down in Europe and I wear barefoot on the boulevard. Thank you. Sorry if you couldn't see me, the camera.
Thank you very much, Moy. We're now going to ask Delegate Janelle Wilkins to bring a short message to us.
I think she posted that she had to leave.
Already left.
Yeah, but I'm here. I'm no substitute, but I'm here.
We also have Will Jawando, Council Member Will Jawando. Thank you so much for joining us, Council Member.
Of course, good to be with everybody. And I've got my son's little Jamaican onesie with me to represent, and I've got my Yoruba mask behind me. As a lot of people know, I'm married a Jamaican who is just really a probably a 5th generation Nigerian. You know, there's a lot of similarities there, and I've always considered myself part of the family as well, and I've always been adopted by the ambassador and Miss Vernice and everybody else. So it's good to be with you. Happy Caribbean Heritage Month, and you all have done such great work over the years. It's been my honor to serve as a council member for the last 3 years, believe it or not, in my first term, and we'll be getting ready for re-election next year. And I serve on the Education Committee and Education and Culture Committee, which is important for today, in the Planning, Housing, Economic Development Committee. And I've really been focused on how do we make sure that all of our diverse communities, particularly communities that haven't had the seat at the table, are heard. And the advisory group has been a great vehicle for that. And you've been great partners, and you've been helping in all sorts of ways through this pandemic with food and connectivity for people. And we know our communities have been disproportionately impacted. So I want to thank you for that. And just, I'm always here and happy to help if you all need anything. And I'll put my email and information in the chat. But it's great to be with you this evening. And again, happy Caribbean Heritage Month.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
Yeah.
And now for our report. The year 2020, as we all know, was challenging. Carried over from 2019, the Caribbean American Advisory Group continued its work on the 2020 census, contributing to the county's very successful complete count effort. We hosted 2 census drives at the Silver Spring Seventh-day Adventist Church and 1 at Hughes United Methodist Church in Wheaton. CAAG, as we are known, was also involved with several other census events led by our esteemed former liaison, Yvonne Stevens, who worked very hard on the census. As a result of the county shutdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we supported several food drives, including 2 at the Silver Spring Seventh-day Adventist Church, where we also promoted COVID testing. Also, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we were forced to hold all of our meetings, like everyone else, via Zoom. In an effort to promote testing and vaccines, CAAG hosted a webinar tailored specifically to the Caribbean community, featuring several Caribbean doctors who brought valued information to us about the vaccines. In collaboration with the Gaston and Porter Health Improvement Center, we hosted a second webinar directed at the Caribbean community, featuring Caribbean doctors and research professionals. And we had a little more focus there on the vaccines and some details about the vaccines. CAAG will continue to expand its collaboration and partnership with this group going forward, as we will recruit ambassadors to assist with COVID-19 vaccine community outreach. So please stay tuned for more on that, because you will be hearing from us about that. CAAG hosted an education seminar exploring the impact of virtual classes on children. Some of the issues highlighted at the seminar included toll on the mental health of children, inequality in access to computers at home and to Wi-Fi service. The impact was significant on both parents and children. CAAG members served on several other Montgomery County committees addressing various issues in our community. These included the COVID Recovery Advisory Group, the African American Health Programs Committee on Aging, the Public Safety Task Force, the Racial Equity and Justice Task Force, the Pedestrian Community Advisory Group, the HIV Task Force. We are also working with the Department of Environmental Protection to provide recruits for the Climate Stories Ambassador Training Program. This aims to encourage the community at large to seek and tell stories about the impact of climate change as we all work together to mitigate the damage of climate change. And work on these issues is ongoing. And that's our report for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Darius. Just open it up.
Good evening, everyone. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Office of Community Partnerships under the leadership of Diane Vu, my boss. I saw her here earlier. I think she's still on, hopefully. Yes, there she is. She's waving at all of us. Thank you. My name is Rodrigue Vital. I'm the Caribbean American liaison. I am so excited to have the opportunity to host this event. And I see that everybody is very comfortable. Everybody has a front row seat. This is great. Thanks, courtesy of Zoom. I will say something quickly. We have on the program both County Executive Mark Elwick and Council President Tom Harker, who's joined us, and we will get to both of them in a moment. But here is what I want to say about this event tonight. There are a lot of people who think that there is the language differences amongst Caribbean is a point of divergence, and I don't think it should be. Caribbeans, as you know, are English speakers, as in the case of Jamaica, Bahamas, Barbados, and we are Spanish speakers. Como se puede ver, por supuesto, con los hermanos y hermanas de Cuba, de la República Dominicana y Panamá, estamos todos empeñados en las tareas de consolidar las tareas de consolidar CAAG y apoyar nuestros amigos y amigas. We are also French speakers, comme c'est le cas d'Haïti, bien sûr. Nous sommes là pour travailler avec CAAG, pour aider les gens à supporter notre comté de Maryland. Et tout comme we are also Creole speakers. Nous avons dit ça qu'a fait avec Zaminou, qui sont la Martinique, et ça passé. Donc, in a nutshell, we are working to really strengthen the community of Caribbean. And we are going to have a lot of fun in the days ahead, in the months ahead, in the years ahead, under the leadership of our county executive and our great members of the council. I would like to welcome at this very moment, County Executive, okay, and I will ask Council President Tom Harker, please, to share a few words with our folks here. Thank you. And I think you are muted.
I am. I'm here, Rodrigue. Thank you so much. Rodrigue and Diane and everyone with the commission. It's great to see Ambassador Ward again, and my friend Delegate Acevero, and I hope Delegate Wilkins is with us as well, and so many of our great Caribbean American community leaders throughout Montgomery County. I'm really happy to join you. Happy Caribbean American Month. I'm going to put on my Jamaica hat that I wear all the time. It's getting worn out, but this is the month to wear it. I'm very proud to, I don't know, is the county executive expected to join us for the proclamation too? Should I filibuster until then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's expected to
I'll
join.
just get started, Diane. You give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I've done it both ways. I'm so proud that we are celebrating this month, and I'm really proud to be with you to present the proclamation again this year. Been with you at the Silver Spring Library to do this, and this is the first time I can remember doing it on Zoom, but I'm looking forward to doing it again in person very soon, hopefully next year. And I don't want to wait for that. I hope we have some events together this summer. You all know the contributions of Caribbean Americans. We talk about it throughout the year, and especially this month, to the fabric of Montgomery County and all of America. Caribbean Americans were among the first settlers in Maryland, going back to 1634. And there's been very rich contributions to our state throughout our history. They've had a profound impact on our culture, including the design of some of Maryland's first ships. And there's a straight line of contributions in all areas: arts and law and politics and certainly food for nearly 500 years now. And the community is still contributing so much to our state, and we're very grateful for that. And that's what this month is all about: celebrating and recognizing all that hard work, all that sacrifice, and all of your contributions. We are so fortunate in Montgomery County to have 16,000 Caribbean Americans living in Montgomery County, which is a huge community. You know, you are our scholars, teachers, nurses, dentists, doctors, inventors, elected officials, poets and songwriters and activists and architects. And no matter what your calling is, you all play a crucial role in supporting our community and enriching our society. You know, in Montgomery County is particularly special because we have folks who have come here to call Montgomery County home from 170 countries, speaking 150 languages. And four of our communities are among the top 10 in the nation in terms of diversity. And no other county can say that. Rockville, Gaithersburg, Germantown, and Silver Spring are all in the top 10 communities in the nation in terms of diversity. And that is, for years, I think we saw that as a challenge, and it's an ongoing challenge to make sure we have culturally competent services for all our residents. But what it really is, more than anything else, is an asset. And so much of what we've done at the council level in the last few years has been sort of pivoting from that traditional and I think outdated outlook on our diversity to an embrace and an outlook that sees our diversity as what it is, as one of the things that makes us one of the strongest county in the country. And we are now assessing all of our legislation and all of our policy from a racial equity and social justice lens, which is good for all of us. I was a community organizer and nonprofit advocate for many, many years before I was elected. And I used to make the argument, oh, we should raise the minimum wage, or we should expand healthcare, we should expand transit, or we should keep buses free because it's the right thing to do. Now, actually, I still make those arguments, but they're strengthened by the fact that it's our policy in the county, and it was passed unanimously by my colleagues on the county council, to strengthen our racial equity and our social justice. So now they don't even have to say that's Hucker's crazy notions. They get to say we're in line with Montgomery County policy. That's why we have a $15 minimum wage. That's why we're expanding our affordable housing. That's why we're expanding our healthcare and keeping buses free. It's because it's aligned with our racial equity and social justice policy. That's been very, very powerful as a policy argument. It's been transformative in our policy making. And I know you all are very much aligned with that outlook. We're so lucky to have Caribbean American elected officials. I mentioned my friend Gabrielle Esavero and Janelle Wilkins, who are both representing Montgomery County in the Maryland House of Delegates, where I used to serve. Shirley Chisholm, of course, we all know is a trailblazing Caribbean American who was the first Black Congresswoman and candidate for president. And we've been able to accomplish so much in part because of the talent and hard work and faith and values of our Caribbean American community. So I'm looking forward to celebrating with you, not just tonight, but I hope all month, and I hope all year beyond this. So I'll turn it back to you, Rodrigue and Diane, and I see the county executives here. So want to hear from him, and then we can do the proclamation.
Thank you, Council President Hucker. County Executive Helwich, welcome. Please take it away.
Oh, Mark, you're on mute.
You are still muted.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Occasionally, the computer thinks my mouse is my microphone. I do not understand that, but it happens. I'm really happy to be here today and join you in celebrating Caribbean American Month. This is really important. You all play a big role in this community. I used to teach at Rolling Terrace Elementary School. I saw students from the Caribbean. I had teacher colleagues who came out of the Caribbean. You know, throughout the county government, we see people with Caribbean backgrounds, and, you know, in the business community and education everywhere. You all are well integrated into the fabric of Montgomery County. You're really important to the success of Montgomery County. I think one of the things that makes, you know, the Caribbean community and other immigrant communities special is we have a lot of people who want to be in Montgomery County. It was a choice to be here. I was, you know, born in DC. It was a short move for me. I didn't make a choice when I was 10 years old. But a lot of other folks have made the decision that this is where they want to be. It's where they want to do their businesses. It's where they want to raise their families. It's the kind of community they want to live in. And that is just really, really important. I think it strengthens Montgomery County. You and other immigrant groups have played a prominent role in the census and making sure that we got everybody counted. You played a huge role in getting the message out to people, first to get tested when testing was all we had, and then to get vaccinated when vaccines gave us the way out of this. And it's so nice to be here today. I was walking around in downtown Rockville for a little bit before I got here, and just so wonderful to see real human beings. They're like in 3 dimensions. You can hug them, you can shake their hands. And I'm looking forward to being able to do that with all of you. I'm looking forward to events that we used to have. I'm looking forward to the ceremonies that we had in the Silver Spring Civic Center. They're always educational. They always introduce important elements of culture. And they always remind us that Montgomery County is made up of all these wonderful different groups of people, and you've all chosen to make this home. And I feel like if you've chosen to make the place where I'm the county executive home, it's my obligation to make this the nicest home you can find. And so we're going to always continue to work to make sure that we address concerns of the community, we understand the needs of the community, and that we work together in order to address the problems that people have in the community. We know that as much as we do, we are not a county without issues. We know that, you know, folks, you know, who are of African descent still face America's cursed long-term relationship with racism. And it's something that we've all been dedicated to addressing. When I ran for county executive, I said I was going to implement a racial equity office, and we did that. And we have a racial equity officer, and we are now getting staffed up to the point that we can do the work. It's one thing to have a person. It's another thing to actually have staff that can go out and monitor what happens in the county and to make sure we actually live up to our words. And so I'm so happy about that development, and I look forward to, you know, continued partnership and working together. And with that, I'm going to, I got to thank Yvonne from the Office of Community Partnerships for your dedication as the liaison. You help bridge the gap and the link between the county government and the Caribbean community. And I'm so glad that you're part of our team and that you've been working with the Caribbean community and to make this as successful as it's been. So thank you all. I thank the residents of Montgomery County for listening to us. This, you know, if you think about it, what made Montgomery County different than everybody else when it came to the pandemic is our residents didn't refuse to wear masks. They didn't say, I'm not going to distance. People here understood the importance of what we were asking to do, and they did it. So thank you for playing your part in making sure we all stayed safe. And with that, the proclamation says, whereas during Caribbean American Heritage Month, more than 5 million Americans proudly share their Caribbean heritage and celebrate Caribbean-style events. We join together to recognize contributions that Caribbean Americans have made to the fabric of our nation and pay tribute to the culture, our shared values, and the bonds of friendship that unite the United States and the Caribbean countries, our common values, and our shared history. And
whereas our nation has thrived as a country of immigrants, and we are more vibrant and hopeful because of the talent, faith, and values of Caribbean Americans. They have enriched our society and added to the strength of America. And
whereas the Caribbean Americans have contributed to our community and nation in extraordinary ways and are leaders in government, business, medicine, sports, entertainment, the arts, and many other fields with outstanding accomplishments in the United States and in Montgomery County, and in particular, and
whereas we honor the resilient heritage and rich history of the Caribbean Americans and reflect on the diversity of experiences that unites us as a people, and join together and advance a path for progress driven by our shared dedication to fostering opportunity and a bright future for all county residents.
Now, therefore, do we, Mark Elrich as County Executive and Tom Hucker as County Council President of Montgomery County, Maryland, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2021 as Caribbean Heritage Month in Montgomery County. We encourage all our residents to join us in recognizing the outstanding contributions of Caribbean Americans. Signed the 8th day of June in the year 2021 by Mark Elrich and Tom Hucker. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Diane, do we want to hear from Delegate Acevedo at all?
Yes, we will.
Oh, great. Okay. Sorry, I don't have the program.
Yes, we do. And as Caribbean people, we will step up to the plate to do what we have to do. In this last segment, we're going to have just a casual conversation. I am going to abandon all the formalities and try to keep it as casual as possible. We've invited 4 people who have contributed to the community who are from the Caribbean. And we will talk a little bit about why they're in Montgomery County, what is it that they're expected or are looking for from Montgomery County, what it was about Montgomery County that attracted them, the contributions they have been making, and how people can make their contributions to Montgomery County, what they expect from Montgomery County, and how we can do better in terms of serving Montgomery County so that we can have access to all of the services that Montgomery County has to offer and help our people understand the importance of working with the county, working in the county, working on community committees and boards so that we have a better understanding of what is available and how they can access some of the services. So we'll start with Delegate Gabriel Acevedo from Trinidad and Tobago, Ambassador Curtis Ward from Jamaica, Karen Francis, also from Jamaica, and Laurie Williams Moyse. They will talk. We ask them to first give us an idea of why you are in Montgomery County. And I will start off with you, Ambassador Ward, as the elder statesman who's been here probably the longest. And we will take it from there. I will not designate specific speakers, I will ask you to just make it a conversation and contribute as you see fit to add to the conversation. I'll start off with you, Ambassador Ward.
Can't hear you.
You have to unmute yourself.
Ambassador Ward, you're muted.
My camera will not stay on either.
I tell you, I should not be a novice at this stage. I've been Zooming all year. Let me begin by bringing some greetings to all the members of the Caribbean community in the county, to thank CAAG for putting this together, and most importantly, to thank the county executive and the president of the county council for sharing this special occasion with us, for bringing us the proclamation of Caribbean Heritage Month as we celebrate together as one Caribbean. Why am I in Montgomery County? As Darius mentioned, I'm probably here longer than most people in the county, perhaps even including the county executive. I'm being presumptuous here, but I actually came to Montgomery County in 1976, and I've been here ever since. I've served out of the state. I've commuted back and forth. I did this for some 5 years to New York. And when I went on missions, I would be out of the county for some periods of time. But my home has always been in the county since 1976. I came to Montgomery County because when I decided I was going to be here for a while, I looked around the metro area, and by then I started to raise a family, and I wanted to ensure that my kids had the best public schools available in the region. And Montgomery County provided that. And I'm proud to say that I've had 3 kids who went all the way through from preschool, kindergarten in Montgomery County through high school. And they've gone on to other things. But Montgomery County provided that opportunity for us to set down our roots as Caribbean people who just loved the kind of services that were available. And over the years, we've strived to repay Montgomery County in many ways by what we bring to the table, what's available from our community. We have businesses, professionals, we have individuals, we have people who look after our children, our homes, and so on and so forth. We are from the Caribbean, and we care for Americans, as I like to say, from the cradle to the grave and in between. And we consider ourselves special. As our liaison officer mentioned, our diversity will blow you away. There is no group of people anywhere in the world that can present the kind of diversity, ethnic, languages, culture, you name it. It's Caribbean. And anywhere you go, Caribbean people are there, no matter where. And of course, Montgomery County is home to so many of us. I know there's a number that is put out there, but I dare say it's probably a whole lot more than that, because some of us are probably not even counted. And the new census will probably show that there are at least 25,000 people of Caribbean descent. in Montgomery County, and we're not speaking even of the Latino Caribbean when we give those numbers out. We have Haiti, the English-speaking CARICOM member states, Suriname, Guyana, and Belize, who are not islands, but part of our Caribbean family. I'd like to stop there, but there's an issue I'd like to present later on in our discussion. But let me stop at that point for now.
Thank you, Ambassador Ward. And I also noticed that the county executive put a note in the chat that he's probably been here longer than you have. His family was here since 1960.
Like I said, I was being presumptuous.
Okay, let me move over to Laurie Williams-Moist, and I'll ask you to give us a little bit of a background as to why you're here and what your contribution is.
Sure. Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here, happy to be a member of CAAG. And I came to Montgomery County. It wasn't necessarily a choice. I was in 6th grade when I came to Montgomery County. I was living in Montreal, Canada. My parents are from the Caribbean, both from Haiti. Dr. Fred and Adele Williams. And my father found great opportunity in DC, but our family was living in Montgomery County. So we came to this area, and they told us we'll be here for a year or two, and my parents were hired here. I'm still here. I always am proud to say I am a product of Montgomery County. I went through MCPS schools. I work at Montgomery College. Our first graduate from college was from Montgomery College. My sister graduated there. And I just enjoy being a part of this multicultural community. There's a place for me here. There's a home for me here. And I just feel very blessed to be a part of it.
Thank you. And we will talk a little bit more about your contribution to the county as we go along. Let me come to Delegate Gabriel Asador from Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. Thank you to CAAG for organizing tonight's celebrations, and to our county executive and our council president for the proclamation, for being here this evening, and for recognizing really the contributions of our community. I mean, we could go on and on this evening, but we have very limited time. But in terms of the contributions of Caribbean Americans, to the social, political, as was mentioned earlier, with Shirley Chisholm and my colleague, Delegate Janelle Wilkins from Jamaica and others, but also the economic, the cultural fabric of America. And so it's for me and for my family, growing up in Trinidad and Tobago and then immigrating to the United States, we moved to Montgomery County, Maryland, and I've lived here ever since. I've never lived anywhere else. This is where I went to school. I graduated from Montgomery College and then went to UMBC at the universities at Shady Grove, right here in Montgomery County as well. And then doing my organizing and my advocacy work over the years right here in Montgomery County on really important issues, but also being involved in a number of other ways as well. So it's been an amazing experience, and Montgomery County is home. This is community, and I think we oftentimes recognize the diversity of our county, and we speak to diversity as our strength, and I certainly agree. But just as important as diversity is inclusion and inclusivity, and ensuring that, for Caribbean Americans and for those who are going to continue to move here, to settle here, to grow up in Montgomery County, we have to ensure that we're really building inclusive communities. Diversity is about numbers, inclusion is about intentionality, and we want to ensure that county government and really all levels of government are being intentional in the way that they're engaging with our community and serving us. So thank you, and it's really good to be here during Caribbean American Heritage Month with all the people that I respect and regard, such as Ambassador Ward and Darius Steen and so many others. And it's good to hear the stories. Always good to be amongst West Indians and Caribbean folks at large. Thanks.
Thank you. And Karen Francis from Jamaica.
Hi, Doris. Thank you. And again, welcome everyone. Good evening. Karen Francis here. So what brought me to Montgomery County? It's a simple answer, my family. My grandaunt came to the United States back in the 1960s or thereabouts, you know, to Washington, D.C. And slowly but surely, as our family expanded, we moved to Montgomery County because of housing, education, access. You know, so when it came time for me to come from Jamaica to come to school, to university here in the United States, you know, Washington, D.C. obviously was the place to go, but Montgomery County, where my family lived, was always where we came. All of us kids that were in school came to Montgomery County, to my grandaunt's house and my aunt and uncle's house every single Sunday to have rice and peas and chicken and salad. It was a place that was our place of convening, of warmth, of love, of sharing, of, you know, when you needed to be scolded, you'd also get that and the wrath of everyone in your family when you did wrong. But it was the place that we convened. So Montgomery County has been home for me for over 20 odd some years now. I'll be honest with you that I did leave the county for about 2.5 years when I moved to Champaign, Illinois, of all places, because of a job. And I could not wait to get back to Montgomery County. As a matter of fact, I remember that Sunday afternoon as we were driving down 270 after we, you know, coming back from Illinois in the Ryder truck, that I remember I saw the sign that said, "Welcome to Maryland." And I literally stopped my car, got out of the car, knelt down on the sidewalk and kissed the ground. I am home in Maryland. So and I mean, I'm being serious when I say that to you. So in Montgomery County, it has been a place that I've been able to raise my son, that I have been able to live, to have the experiences of that. I don't worry about whether or not I can find the Caribbean food, because there's always a restaurant within 10, 15 minutes of drive for me. I can also get on a plane in Baltimore and end up in Montego Bay within 3.5 hours, right? You know, so there is so much connection here. As I even, you know, travel around in Montgomery County, I'm able to even meet and with people that I went to school with in Jamaica. So, you know, it's really that grounding place for me. It's also the place where I think so much of my career has been built and developed. You know, I hear our county executive talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, you know, I have the privilege and the honor of getting up every single day and going to work at the American Institute for Research as their vice president and chief diversity officer to talk about race and ethnicity and inclusion and what social justice and equity looks like as this very large 1,800 person organization who are, you know, filled up behavioral and social scientists, you know, bring the research, bring the thinking, bring the technical assistance to assist not only communities and agencies here in Montgomery County, but quite frankly, all across the country and all across the world, really grapple with what we mean by meaningful efforts around diversity, equity, and inclusion to address the disparities that exist in health, in education, in access to services and supports. And again, you know, I just can't think of a richer place to be able to do this work every single day. Our offices are located on Executive Boulevard in, you know, in Montgomery County, right? One of our offices, one of the larger offices that we have. And it's through there that we push this work. So, you know, just to say that Montgomery County has been the blessing that I think in my life, right? And I'm just so happy to be here. And don't let anybody tell you that, you know, Illinois is cool, because it's not. It came back here because I couldn't even stand to shovel another foot of snow. I haven't had to do that here in Montgomery County as regularly that I had to do it in, you know, in Illinois. So it's just a pleasure to be here, and it's been a pleasure to serve on, several, boards and advisory boards in Maryland as well as in Montgomery County on the Governor's Commission on, Caribbean Affairs, and that we're hoping that at some point those that particular commission will get up and running again. Yes, I am advocating for that, as well as serving on, the Montgomery County Advisory Board on Juvenile Justice and some others, and then now having the privilege and honor to also serve on CAAG.
Thank you. That has segued right into my next segment, and that is to talk about accessing services. COVID-19 showed us exactly where the loopholes are in the society in terms of access and inequality and that sort of thing. And we know that there are plans underway to make some changes, as the county executive has said, that equity and inclusion are part of his program. And one of the things that I think, to put it out straight, and that is that Caribbean people, even though we have been in Montgomery County and have worked and lived in Montgomery County, I don't think we have been as enthusiastic as we should be about serving on county boards and committees. And this is something that will give us the access and the information that we need to understand what is available. So I want to talk again among us about what does it mean and why is it important to be involved on county boards and commissions and committees? Why is it important to, some people may say just sit on committees and then nobody wants to keep going to meetings, but it is the information that one gains from being a part of those committees that gives one access to the source, the services and the services and information that's available to people. So that I think COVID showed that many people had no idea what was available to them in many cases. And these are things that will come to the surface once you become involved and help the wider community know and understand what's involved. So let's go back and talk about getting involved, serving on committees, why it's important, and what is it that we can learn? What is the focus of working with these committees? How can that help us in terms of inclusiveness and equity? Who wants to start that conversation? I'm not gonna.
I'd like to jump in here because I think in as much as it is important for us to get a clear understanding of what the county offers that the community can take advantage of, it is equally important that when we serve on boards and commissions and so on, that we can bring a perspective to the discussions which take place on these boards, which is lost if we don't participate. And we can bring, as part of the governance of the county, the inclusion of Caribbean people. Because while we elect the officials, the county executive, the council members, and so on and so forth, the boards and commissions are very important in terms of input into decision making in the county. And Caribbean people can bring a perspective from their communities. They can bring their expertise. They can bring their experiences into those boards and commissions. And if we don't step out and seek to serve on them, then the county is losing what we have to offer. So it is not just a question of being able to bring back to our communities what is available and what they should be doing in terms of their participation in civic affairs and so on, but we can bring our expertise to the table to benefit the county.
I think it's also important to help the county see the other side of the coin. There are things that they may not even know about that we can bring, as you say, to the table, but to show them another side, another way of thinking, another way of operating, another way of doing things. Right?
Absolutely. We have a treasure trove of experiences and expertise in the Caribbean community that is not being put to the service of the county, because the way to get it is really to be on these boards. That's how you bring your expertise in. And you also bring the diversity that we are known for. And Dr. Francis, I'm sure you can expound on that aspect of our input into the county from that perspective.
I think the county executive wants to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, you know, when I was running for office, people would say, well, what are you going to do? And I would remind people that I don't walk in anybody else's shoes. So no matter how well-intentioned I am or anybody else is, without talking to people whose experiences are different and hearing, you know, opinions and perspectives that come from people who have different perspectives, it's difficult to assume that people are just going to get it right. So I feel like, you know, I think my instincts are good, but I don't know what I don't know. And so it's really important to participate and share your thoughts, ideas, and experiences so that they affect the decisions we make, not just rely on us to be benevolent and do the good thing, but help us shape what those good things are. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
you know, as I even hear this conversation, you know, that we're having, you know, I'm just thinking about the concept around engagement, you know, and how we effectively do that, because we do realize that there are many, you know, members in our community that for one reason or not may not necessarily feel comfortable engaging because they don't see themselves in, you know, in the systems or the services or the supports that are available. You know, in the state of Maryland, the Maryland Department of Behavioral Health has made some really deliberate efforts around behavioral health services, and a focus really on this concept around what does cultural competence you know, look like and mean for access to behavioral health services. And as a state of, with, you know, with Montgomery County participating, they've done things like been very deliberate and intentional about how do we create access that is culturally responsive and culturally relevant for this very diverse population that we have not only in the state of Maryland, but also in Montgomery County, and asking, quite frankly, each of their behavioral health agencies and their, you know, local health authorities to develop strategic plans around how is it that you're going to meet the needs, you know, engage and create access for services for the diverse individuals in our community. So, you know, that's some of the deliberateness that, you know, we talk about with this issue around diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's cool. We can write all the articles we want. We can make all the performative statements that we want about the importance of diversity, of equity, and inclusion. But it is important that that rubber meets the road, so that when, you know, our, you know, community members reach out to any of these systems that are supposed to be of service to them, that there is a welcoming environment, that there is engagement in the environment, and that people really feel that they can trust these systems and that they will get their needs met in those systems. That is when equity really happens, when equity, where the rubber is meeting the road, when we're able to say that we can come, we accept these services and they are appropriate and meet our needs. And that's really what the challenge is for us a lot of times as we do this work around diversity, equity, and inclusion, is not only growing it, but also sustaining it and having those metrics and that data that says that, hey, guess what? It's making a difference for real.
I'll just add real quick, because I think when we talk about engagement, we must also understand what are the conduits or the processes through which we can engage within Montgomery County, within the state, within the communities that we live in. And so I just want to lift up in the chat, but for the folks who are viewing at home, that you take a look at the vacancies on the boards and commissions in Montgomery County. I know County Executive Mark Elrich has put out a notice seeking applicants for vacancies. There are a number of commissions, from the Criminal Justice Coordinating Commission to others, which you can see online. But we have to understand what these commissions and boards do, and why it's important for us to be engaged in these commissions and boards, not just at the county level, but there are also state commissions. And I'll just highlight, just the advocacy of folks like Ambassador Ward and others who've been pushing for a Caribbean governor's commission on Caribbean affairs and whatnot at the state level. And it's important for us to be engaged because, as Ambassador Ward mentioned, yes, we bring lived experiences that will provide perspective. I also think part of it is what county executives said about this being our community, but also through our engagement, we then are able to build and to make these systems work for us, right? To Karen Francis' point about how these systems meet us where we are, how they engage with our communities, whether they're culturally competent, et cetera. But civic engagement does not end at the ballot box, and we ultimately have to understand that as a community, all of us come from various countries in the Caribbean, and we're an engaged people, right? Because we have to be, and especially when we're talking about Caribbean Americans. Earlier was talked about climate change, et cetera. What is the role of the diaspora in advocating for those issues, not just of our community locally, but also abroad, right? Climate change, small island developing states, or SIDS, are at the forefront of the impacts on that. And that's the Caribbean, that's all of us, right? And so what role do we play as Caribbean Americans ensuring that we're advocating for those things, in addition to advocating for greater engagement with our community? I talked earlier about the difference between diversity and inclusion and the intentionality, right?
Exactly.
But a lot of folks throw around equity and that word, because it is a buzzword. It's a social justice buzzword now, without fully understanding what we mean and what we need when we say equity, right? There's equality does not equal equity, right? Two different concepts. And I think, just so that folks understand, when we talk about the classroom setting, equality is treating all of your students the same. Equity is understanding that some of your students come to the classroom with certain challenges, disadvantages, et cetera, that is, no fault or out of their control, and that we must ensure that these communities or this population of folks have what they need in order for things to be fair. That's what equity means in the classroom context. And then when we push that over to our communities, do we have what we need in order for things to be fair? And so the county passed legislation that I think we should certainly applaud around looking at policies and whatnot, but we also have to be engaged in these boards and ensure that, that's where policy comes to life. People make policy come to life, right? And so that's why we have to be engaged.
So Gabriel, I want to add one other piece to that concept, that definition that you have around equity, right? It's the removal of barriers and obstacles, but for people to thrive, right? So it's about fairness and being able to thrive, right? So that this young person in that classroom is able to move on, right? Or this family who is in need of housing, that they've not had access to housing, is able to have housing so that they can thrive. So that piece about thriving is also, I think, such a concrete, integral part of this concept that we're talking about when we say equity, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely on point. And I also say too, the conversations that we have around equity, we need to be having more responsible conversations about equity in all of spaces, from government to nonprofit to academia to medicine, to even diplomacy. We have to be having different conversations about equity, because right now when we say equity, it is understood or seen by a good bit of people as a zero-sum game, right? You gaining means that my community is losing, instead of recognizing past injustices. And equity is not just about correcting that, but again, as I said earlier, ensuring that communities have what they need in order for things to be fair, and as Francis mentioned, and thrive, right? Because that's the goal.
Yes, yes.
And let me ask Laurie Williams-Moyse if you have a comment as you've been listening to, and I know you've involved with Montgomery College, where I'm sure you've seen many different scenarios and had some experiences.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate all the comments that were shared. I stand in agreement with what was shared. And I would just add also, I think, and this is something that I see sometimes with students who come from, parts of the Caribbean, other part of the world. Sometimes there's an idea of, especially within our communities, at times we may want to stay to ourselves a bit, and not really explore what's out there, or what opportunities are there, what collaborations are available, what we have access to. And I really see the opportunity within a group like CAAG, who's our connection to the community as a whole, is to be able to really be that extended hand to our own communities and say, this is what's available to you, and that there are perhaps other ways to tackle an issue, a problem within our communities, and to work together as a whole with other members of in the county to collectively resolve an issue. And also, I think another great advantage is looking at all the different advisory groups within the county, is to see how many, how our journeys are similar, our experiences are similar, we share similar challenges. So again, another important reason for us to come together and just see the bigger picture.
And as you said, rather than stay to ourselves, it's time to sort of reach out, look around and see what is out there that I can give my expertise to, or learn from, or share with, because it is by sharing that we grow as well. And as Karen said, we thrive by sharing and spreading. And so it's important that we do understand the roles of these committees, boards, and commissions, and what our role can be on both sides of the coin.
Absolutely.
Any other final comments? We have.
Yes, there is, if I might. There's a very important Supreme Court decision last week, and which affects large numbers of our Caribbean community, including right here in Montgomery County. The decision is to prevent any of the TPS, which is the temporary protected status beneficiaries, from being able to convert their status to permanent residency if they enter the United States without passing through border inspection. Now, Haiti, in the United States, there are over 60,000 Haitians who are beneficiaries of TPS. I would say a large proportion of them came here with a visa and overstayed. They're not affected or impacted by the Supreme Court decision, but there are tens of thousands who are impacted And Montgomery County is home to 23,000 plus TPS from just 3 countries, Honduras, Guatemala, and Haiti. Over 23,000 citizens of those countries live in Montgomery County. Okay? The other aspect of the court decision affects every dreamer. And it's not just for the most part, when we talk about dreamers, we are thinking about people from El Salvador, Honduras, or Guatemala. There are tens of thousands of Caribbean dreamers here in the United States. I don't have the data for Montgomery County, but no dreamer will be able to become a permanent resident of the United States under this Supreme Court decision. The only way to fix it is through Congress. And I'm bringing this to the attention of the Caribbean community through this forum, because those who are watching on YouTube, Carib Nation TV, or tuning here on Zoom, I think we need to understand that we have a role to play. The House passed H.R. 6, which took care of this anomaly in the immigration law, to make those TPS who are now barred by the Supreme Court decision to be able to get permanent residency. That all dreamers, there's a path to permanent residency, and for all of them, ultimate citizenship. We have a role to play, and we have, like I said, over 23,000 TPS alone in Montgomery County. So I wanted to bring this to the table for awareness and advocacy as to how we can help as part of the immigrant diaspora community, as Caribbean people, to help to push for enactment in the Senate. And that's what I have said at this point in time. You'll hear more from me about this at a later date.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, Ambassador Ward. And the message is, of course, write your congressperson, and people like Delegate Acevedo and Janelle Williams, and make sure that we get the politicians involved, let them know what we think. And CAAG is always available and willing. And those who are interested in joining CAAG, we invite you to call us, write us, send us an email, call the liaison office, call the Office of Community Partnerships, and they can guide you from there as to how you can get involved, how you can become a member of CAAG, and some of the things that you're doing, that we have been doing. As you can tell from my report, while we may be a small number, we have been involved in several different efforts in the county, from climate change to pedestrian crossing. So there's a lot to be done in the county, and we need hands and heads. And so I'd like to throw this out, and please remember.
Allow me to add one thing, Darius. Allow me to add one thing, because it's already passed the House, H.R. 6, but it's bogged down in the Senate. We have 2 Democratic senators, one from Montgomery County, actually. They are already on board. So the message that we need to put forward is that Caribbean people across the United States, wherever you are, that you will communicate with your senators. If they're not on board, find ways to convince them that they should be on board. The Senate is split 50-50. This legislation cannot go through the Senate because of filibuster. I'm not here advocating one way or the other, but those who adhere to the principles enshrined in the filibuster must then step up to the plate and support legislation that favors the dreamers and the TPS. And that's part of the advocacy that we have to go forward with.
I'll just add quickly that in addition to advocacy at the federal level with your congresspersons and your U.S. senators, certainly U.S. senators, that you pay attention to what is being done at the state level. Yes, immigration is largely in federal domain, but there are some things that states can do to ensure that we are not creating anti-immigrant environments. So I'll give an example. Back in 2012, long before I ran for the House of Delegates, I was an organizer for the DREAM Act. Maryland was the first state to pass the DREAM Act, and not just legislatively, but then at the ballot box. And that provided for in-state tuition college opportunities for undocumented students right here in Maryland, in our communities, who did not have access to higher education in a lot of states throughout the United States. We also passed this session that Governor Hogan vetoed, the Dignity Not Detention Act, which in essence sort of ends this practice that ICE has of terrifying and communities, splitting up families, and there's a profit incentive in all of this in terms of what jurisdictions with ICE detention centers, what they get, et cetera. So I want folks to understand that there's things that we could do at the state level as well, and just ensuring at the local level, Montgomery County, that the Office of Community Partnerships and others, I know at the county level, County Executive Mark Elrich has signed executive orders, and County Executive, please chime in. I think it was some time ago on that, but there's work that we could do at every level, but absolutely advocating for that at the federal level. And I am here, Delegate Wilkins, who's from Jamaica, and shout out to Gaithersburg City Council member Lorianne Sales, who is Jamaican as well. All Caribbean elected officials, reach out. We're happy to engage and talk strategy on how we can do that level of engagement. So County Executive, I didn't know if you have anything you wanted to add on your executive order.
I think you kind of captured the executive order pretty well. We're very intent on trying to make sure that this place stays welcoming, and that we're going to protect people. Sometimes it's hard. Hopefully with the Biden administration, it's not so hard. We went through a hard time going through things with ICE this last time. It was an adventure. But I think we've come out okay. And I just, anything you need help down in Annapolis, I've tried in normal times to be present down there. And even during COVID times, I showed up for hearings because I think it's important for people to hear. So I'm happy to do that. I also help set priorities for the delegations. So we send over things that we prioritize. So anything you want to engage me on early, then I can make sure that our team is told that this is a priority for the county, assuming the council supports it. I can't have my own priorities. But I believe that, we're all pretty much in sync on what we think needs to happen and what we need to do to take care of people.
Yeah, and shout out to County Executive Mark Elrich, because Governor Hogan criticized him for that, and I thought, his criticism was misguided. Obviously, Governor Hogan claims all the time to care about immigrants, and then when it comes to action and executive orders and what he vetoes, it's just a complete contradiction. So it's good to have, and that's why it's important to have elected officials who understand our community as well as are from our community. When we talk about Delegate Wilkins, Councilmember Lorianne Sales, and myself, why it's important for us to be engaged and to run for office, right? Montgomery County is home. I live in District 39, so that's like the northwestern part of Montgomery County. It's Gaithersburg, Montgomery Village, Germantown, Clarksburg, and Washington Grove. And it has a high immigrant a community in my district, including Caribbean community. And so this is about us also, running for office and ensuring that, our communities aren't being scapegoated, because that's what they're doing.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for a very spirited discussion. I'm glad that we had an open conversation. There's been a lot to learn, a lot has been shared. And I hope that our listeners have gained some insight into what we're about and where they can play a role. And that brings to the end my segment of the program, and I'll turn over to my co-chair, Venice Mundell Harvey, to close us out. Thank you all very much.
Great discussion. Thank you, everyone. But before, I just want to ask, is Lorian on? Lorian Sales? By chance? I didn't see her name, but I want to just double check on that. Did you see her as a bearer? Is she on?
I didn't, but you know, I any space I'm in, I'm always, you know, shouting out my.
Yeah, she was supposed to be here, so I didn't want to miss having her to say a few words if she's on. So
absolutely.
Okay, I will.
Please remember to get vaccinated, everybody.
Yes.
Another discussion.
Yes.
I'm going to turn that
Actually,
back.
and still get tested. There are people who need to be tested out there, so don't let up on this.
Yes, don't let up on that. And with the county executive saying that, I think on Sunday the 13th, there'll be a big event at the Civic Center for COVID testing and vaccine. And there'll be food, Caribbean food, different restaurants. I know we recommended a Caribbean restaurant that's going to be there giving away boxes of food. So get the community out, to Civic Center on Sunday. And there's so many other places that you can get tested and get vaccinated. So I will turn it over to Roderick for music, and then we'll go to the closing remarks.
Wonderful. Thank you. We've selected a couple of nice rhythms for you from the Caribbean. Please sit back and enjoy.
Chérie, get-toi chapit, tu le lis ça tout le monde. Le pousser pour m'esquécher. Les mecs critiquent, c'est monsieur chef, parce que chercher l'on le pépé. Tout ça, tout être la banco. Mettez-vous ma colonne, ma promène, tout ça, non. Si vous m'arrêtez, mais que chacun me tape mon chèque, sans position. C'est lui qui marche dans le sentiment. Revolution chaque fois nous dit choc de service. Oh, et tout avec un ou content ou en fait, car le bio chargé. Y yo no olvido con cuánto afán mi buen pagaba, que día y noche se pagaba para conseguir el pan. Las cosas buenas no estaban, decían, pero no me rindo, y yo tampoco prescindo de los días de mi infancia, aunque perdió su elegancia la loma del tamarindo. Los países se ya son las 6, va a amanecer. Los países se ya son las 6, va a amanecer.
Thank you so much. Venice, please take it away.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone for attending our celebration this evening. Thank you to all of those who worked to make this event a success. I want to thank our elected officials and our county executive and county president for doing our proclamation with us this evening. We thank you for taking the time to be here with us. Thanks to those who participated in our conversation this evening. This was indeed a great conversation, and we look forward to many more of this type of conversations as we move forward. We appreciate having the other advisory groups and other partners here with us. To our OCP director, I say thank you. I am excited that we were able to celebrate this evening. Have a good night. And as they say in the Caribbean, walk good and take your vaccine and get tested. We got this.
Thank you, E. Thank you, everyone.
DJ?
Thanks very much, Rodrigue, Venice.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone. It's great spending time with you all this evening.